Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming and attending. We're going to discuss a little bit from this Bhagavad Gita. So today's topic will be the practical aspect of Bhagavad Gita. How we can utilize this principle in our life. Those are the little topics we'll discuss. Since most of us we know Bhagavad Gita, many of us know many verses. So I will just read one verse from here and then we'll start discussion. So this verse I'm going to read is chapter 9, text number 2. It's an important verse. If you know, you can repeat. Raja Vidya Raja Guiham Pavitram Vidamuttamam Pratyaksha Bhagamam Dharmam Sushakam Kartumabhyayam. So translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. He is the founder of our International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So this is how he translated. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed. Purport. This chapter of Bhagavad Gita is called the king of education because it is the essence of all doctrines and philosophies explained before. Among the principal philosophers in India are Gautama, Kanda, Kapila, Yajnavalkya, Sandilya and Vishwanara. And finally there is Vyasadeva, the author of the Vedanta Sutra. So there is no dearth of knowledge in the field of philosophy or transcendental knowledge. Now the Lord says that this 9th chapter is the king of all such knowledge, the essence of all knowledge that can be derived from the study of the Vedas and different kind of philosophy. It is the most confidential because confidential or transcendental knowledge involves understanding the difference between the soul and the body, and the king of all confidential knowledge culminates in devotional service. So I'll stop there, although the report is very long. So we say that, Lord Krishna says that this Bhagavad Gita is the king of education. We go to college, university to get our degree. How much endeavor we go through every day going to college trying to get some knowledge. So now the Lord explains how Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam. Many education, Vidya means education. So now Raja Vidya means king of education. The Lord says this knowledge is the king of education. And now what is this Bhagavad Gita? This only tells who Krishna is. This whole Bhagavad Gita, he explains, I am God. This is how he explains. Now do we need to know God? It is, a lot of people think, why we need God? We don't need to know God. Our life is going on. I have to work. I take care of my family. What is the need of God? But God is needed because God is there in our life. We don't see Him. We don't feel where He is, but then there is a God. So that's why the knowledge is needed. We have to know this education. This is part of our life. So among all the education, engineering, doctor, many other field of education, this is the Raja Vidya, king of knowledge. And Raja Guhyam. There are many secrets in the world, Oh, he has found a secret. He has found this secret, that secret. So many secrets are there. But among all the secrets, this is the most confidential secret of all secrets. So Raja Guhyam Pavitram, and this is pure. It's the purest. Pavitram idam uttamam. He says this is the best among all others. Uttamam means the best. So this knowledge is the best of all education. Pratyaksha Bhagamam Dharma. This is directly perceived. You don't have to go through so much jugglery, many things to understand it. Pratyaksha Bhagamam Dharma. This is a religious principle. Pratyaksha Bhagamam Dharma. Susukham kartum abhyam. How it is performed? It is joyfully performed. We don't have to endeavor hard to do this. It's a very simple process. It is joyfully performed. So, this education is needed in life. Without God, it's very hard which way we should head. We don't know what is the goal of life. We don't know, what we should do, what we should not do. People, at least, most of us are, when we are born, if the proper education is not given, we don't know which way to go, what is the goal of life. Most people wander through life not knowing what is the goal of life. Most people have this idea, we should, go to school, get out knowledge, get education, get out degree, get a job, and then get married, have some children, maintain the family, and then this way live your life up to the end. But after the end, what happens? People don't have knowledge. People don't want to know about what happens after, But there is a great deal of education that remains what happens after, because this life is very short. But this life is not the all. There is more to come. So this is how, that's when it starts. The education of all education starts when we inquire what happens after death. When we inquire about it, then that's where the knowledge of God starts. That this human birth is not meant for sense gratification. This human birth is not only for going to the college and get a degree and then get our living and stay in this world maintaining our family. That's not all. There is more to it. So that's why Lord Krishna spoke this Bhagavad Gita in the middle of the battlefield where 4 billion soldiers were ready to lay off their life. It's a very acute time when all these thousands, millions of people were ready to lay off their life. Such a difficult, acute time, this Bhagavad Gita came into existence, and it was spoken by Lord himself. Padmanabhasya Mukha Padma Dinisita. It coming from the one whose navel, from navel lotus spring. So it was spoken by God himself. Lord Krishna is God of God. He himself was present in this planet, and he spoke this at that difficult hour when he inquired what is the truth of this world. People are taking birth and they are living this world also. Is there any truth that remains? Then Lord Krishna explained this Bhagavad Gita. The object of this Bhagavad Gita is to know Krishna and worship him. Now, what are the practical aspects? There are many practical aspects in this Bhagavad Gita. Many things are described. Lord Krishna explained varieties of things, full of knowledge, many degree of knowledge that is explained here. First chapter only observes the battlefield, how people who were there, and then from second chapter when Arjuna is completely bewildered, he starts his instruction. The first instruction he gave is you are acting like a fool because you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. This is how he explains. That you are putting anxiety in your head which is not worthy. Those who, the first instruction he explained is Asochan Anpasocastam Pragyavadam Chavas. He explains how Pragyavad, you are speaking like a learned person, but you are worrying over something that is not worthy. So those who are learned, they don't worry for those who are living and those who are dead. So such a person does not worry. This is how he explains. So this is very important. We have to understand that we don't worry about those who are living and those who are dead and gone. Why? We always worry. If somebody goes away from our family, we are full of anxiety. My God, this was a dear person to us, he left. And in the same way, we are constantly worried, how I'm going to maintain this, how I'm going to do this. For living also, we are constantly worried. So Lord Krishna explains that this is first lesson we should take is we should not worry too much about those who are living and those who are dead and gone. So this is very important in life because that alone brings to a neutral point, because when we always think this is good, this is bad. When we think that way, that's where the anxiety starts. And that is the prime subject matter of Bhagavad Gita, that Sukha Dukkha. You don't worry about Sukha and Dukkha. Happiness and distress always comes in life. But what we have to do is not worry about this happiness and distress. Mantras parsastu konteya sikusna sukha dukkha agama paino nityastam titikshasya bharata. He says the happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance of summer and winter season. They arise from sense perception. Now what is sense perception? we have these senses, eyes, nose, ears, tongue, belly, genital, all these senses we have. We desiring thing, you know, eyes wants to see beautiful thing, the nose wants to smell good, good smell, and then tongue always wants to taste things. Because of these senses, you know, happiness and distress arise. We hanker for fulfillment of these senses. But Lord Krishna explains that we should not be disturbed by this, you know, desire of these senses. We should remain neutral in all positions. We should consider that happiness is just like there was a hot, and now pretty soon it became cold. Now again the hot season is starting. So when the November, December comes, we cannot run away. Oh, it's too hot, too cold over here. Let's move to some other place, go to Hawaii. We should not do that. We should rather tolerate. Lord Krishna says how we should tolerate this happiness and distress. And then one who tolerates it, he is a happy man in this world. So this is one of the subject matter, how we should become non-disturbed by happiness and distress. If a person can only achieve that much, you know, he is liberated. This is how Lord Krishna explains. So now this is an important thing, because we are constantly disturbed by happiness and distress. The world is constantly changing. Many things are coming. And when certain circumstances comes in our life, we are totally disturbed. And when something happiness comes, we just dance, you know, we make a party. Now that is not recommended in the scriptures. The scriptures tell that we should remain neutral and always peaceful and you know, not get affected by this. So this is one of the practical aspects, how we have to develop, not to become agitated by happiness and distress. We should remain always neutral, remaining always fixed in our consciousness. Now that is only possible when we keep God in center. You know, if the God is not in our head, then we cannot do that. Because when you don't believe that there is a birth after death, when we don't believe, we cannot maintain that. Because a person always thinks this world is what I have. You know, I have to enjoy as much as I can, I have to make as much money I can, and then enjoy life as much in the fullest extent I can. So this is when we put such a thought in our head, then we are constantly harassed by anxiety. Because we have to do so many things, we always want to fulfill so many desires. Now that's why this instruction of Bhagavad Gita, Dehi Nusmin Yatha Dehe Kaumaram Yauvanam Jara Tatha Dehantara Prapti Dhiras Tatra Namuyati. Lord Krishna explains how as an embodied soul continually passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. So now, just like our body is changing, we were small babies, and now we are young person, and pretty soon we go to get old. We see people are taking birth, people are getting young, and then pretty soon they die. So now, just like our body is constantly changing, same way, at the end of our life, there is something within us, a life spark, what is called a soul, a spirit. You know, we cannot see it, but it's a very small spark. It is explained that if you take a tip of a hair and cut it into 10,000 times, one piece is that size of that soul. Very small spark that enter our body when we were small babies in the mother's womb. When the baby comes in the womb, that spark comes according to its desire, and it enters the heart. It stays in the heart and makes this whole body conscious from the heart. Now that spark is an immortal part of God. So it's my part. This is how God explained. And that spark transfers from one body to another, driven by our desire. You know, what we always think is what we get next life. So this desire that is seated in our heart carries us to the next body, where we assume another form, and then again we continue. So this way we continue. Sometimes we become demigod up there in the heaven. Sometimes we become human being, and then sometimes we become bugs and animals and demons and many other species. So now this knowledge, the transmigration of body, is the most important subject that everybody should know. When one understands this, then he wants to inquire, what is the solution? Now, why I have to come back here and then struggle? Because this life is a struggle. Look at our life, how much we are struggling. We have to make money, it's very hard, and so many other problems. Now, why do we want to continue this? We don't want to continue, we want to end this. Now, what is the process? That's the reason why Bhagavad Gita was spoken. You know, Lord Krishna explained the Arjuna was full of bewilderment. He doesn't know what to do. He has to kill all these people over there, including his grandfather, uncles, friends, and other relatives. In that situation, he was very much bewildered. Those people who have lost their loved one, they have this, this experience, how it feels like when you lost your loved one. That time, you are full of anxiety. You don't know what to do. Your memory doesn't work. Such a person understands the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So that's why the Bhagavad Gita was spoken in a very, very difficult time. How this knowledge is important for all living entities. So now, when we come to understand that we continue to live here, this is not the end. We continue to live here in some form or other. Then we want to understand, what is the process? How do we get out of it? Then the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita comes. There is only one person that can take us out of this world and give us eternal life. That was declared by Lord Krishna. Etu sarvani karmani mai sanyasya madpara ananya naiva yogena mam dayanta upasate desa maham samuddarta vritu sansara sagara bhavami chirat partha mayavesita chetasam. Lord Krishna explains that I become the swift deliverer from this cycle of birth and death. How many lives? Billions of lifetime. There is no count to it. 8,400,000 species, right?
400,000.
400,000 species of life. It's uncountable. So many different species of life. Sometimes we become bug, sometimes we become human beings, sometimes we become Indra, the king of heaven, and sometimes we become king of this world. Many thousands of lifetime we continue. Now, what is making us come through this? Because of our desire. There is a desire. Oh, I wanted beautiful wife. Oh, I wanted a lot of money. There is no money. I couldn't make enough money in this lifetime. I wanted to marry that beautiful girl. I could not marry her. I wanted a beautiful children. Where is my, I could not get them. So many other desires. Every single person has different sort of desires. And these desires are all because of our senses, especially our eyes. We see things and then we think that this is happiness and this is distress. We distinguish. Although the way the Lord explains that there is no real permanent happiness in anything. It's our mind that thinks that this is a happiness and this is a distress. This is how we make our mind that this is our happiness, this is distress. This is how we translate it, and driven by this desire, we desire so many things, and because that desire remains in the heart, and because of that desire, next our mind. We have this soul. I was just talking about this soul that stays in the heart, a live spark that entered when we were small babies in the mother's womb, that stays in the heart. This soul is covered by this desire. What is this? Just like we have this cloth that covers our body. Inside this cloth there is a body. So same way the soul is covered by our mind, then intelligence and false ego, the mithya ahankar. We have this false ego. I am this body. This is my home. This is my children. This is my car. This is I and me. This mithya ahankar that we have, the false ego. These three things are the covering of the soul. These three things covers the soul, and because of this, we are always constantly saying, this is good, this is bad. And driven by this, we are constantly hankering, oh, I didn't get this, I didn't get this. This humans are always full of anxiety of not getting things. Oh, I didn't get this. I wanted this, I didn't have it. So this is how human beings are always constant in anxiety. Animals are always afraid, humans are always in anxiety, and then demigods are enjoying. They don't have any anxiety. They are in bliss, but sometimes they are also driven by some of the false ego. But especially human beings are constantly harassed by this anxiety. So this is why Lord Krishna explained the Bhagavad Gita that our desire, should be only one desire. If we want to get rid of this repeated birth and death, what is our desire? That we understand God. Who is God? Because unless we know God, we cannot go to the place of God. Lord Krishna explained, there is a place where we can go. By going there, one doesn't return. He achieves an eternal body full of bliss and happiness. That verse is there in Bhagavad Gita. I have my place. One who enters that region never comes back. In that place, there is no sun or moon, no fire, no electricity. So, one who enters that region, he doesn't come back. Now, to go there is our goal of life. This human birth that we have assumed, the goal of life is to go that place and stay there forever. And what we do there? Serve God. Our duty is to serve God. We were created to serve God, not to be served by us, by other people. Our natural position is eternal servant of God, always serving. And by serving, we don't become small. We become completely fulfilled. Our desire, everything becomes fulfilled. Because we are always desiring that somebody loved us. You know, we always think, most of us, we all have this desire that somebody loved us so much. And then when we have this desire, and that desire came from Krishna, because he is the object of love, we were loving him over there. Because of our false ego, it is explained that because of our false ego, we have fallen down to this world. We wanted to enjoy life separate from God, that's why we are here in this material world. But we always have this desire that somebody served us, somebody loved us. So now that desire is there, but that will be fulfilled only when we reach to the place of God and when we love God, when we serve Him there with all our love. So that is possible if we practice this right here in this human birth. This human birth is desired even by demigods. You know, there are higher beings. This human birth in the earth planet is desired by higher demigods. They always pray to God to give a human birth over here. Now we are here, we are human being already. What is our duty? We have to understand who God is and then direct our love and attention. That is the prime necessity of human birth. That is the goal of life. So in that case, we must understand who God is. And that's why Lord Krishna explained. This whole book explains, Krishna explains, I am God. You know, I created this world. Mattas paratarananyam kinchidasti dhananjaya mai sarvamidam proktam sutre mani ganaiva. Just like there are many beads that are strong in a thread, same way this entire world we see in night, there are so many stars we see in the sky, sun, moon, and then this earth planet, there are so many other 14 planetary systems. These are all created by God. They are all strong in a thread, just like the beads stay in the thread, same way whole thing, it comes from God and it is all sustained by God. This is how Lord Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita. He said, Gama Visya Bhutani Dharayami Hamojasa Pushnami Chausadi Sarva Sumabhuddha Rasatmaka. I enter into each planet and by my energy they stay in the orbit. I become the moon and I supply the juice of life to all vegetables. So this whole world is sustained by God. He enters into each of them and He keeps them floating in the air. So now, knowing this, God created this world, we have to understand what is His nature. This whole book explains who He is, how He functions. You know, what is His nature, where is He situated, you know, how He runs this world, how He maintains us. This whole thing explains that. So we have to understand who God is, and after we understand this philosophy, this much is a principle. We must understand this principle. And after we understand this principle, then our duty is to love Him. Love means doing some service. You know, if I love this person, if I love Narayan Mishra Prabhu, what do? I go and ask him, Prabhu, can I do something for you? What do you want?